Travis Kelce and his Chiefs teammates arrive in Las Vegas ahead of the Chiefs vs. Las Vegas Raiders game. On Saturday, October 26, Travis Kelce and his Chiefs teammates officially arrived in Las Vegas for the Chiefs vs. Las Vegas Raiders game. Travis Kelce was seen in a black and red tracksuit, carrying a briefcase as he stepped off the plane with his Chiefs teammates. Patrick Mahomes was also seen in a very classy dark red suit. Several Chiefs officials were present and were packing their bags before boarding the bus to the hotel. Travis Kelce and the Chiefs motorcade was spotted heading to the Chiefs Hotel in Las Vegas, where they will spend the night before heading to Allegiant Stadium to warm up for the Chiefs vs. Raiders game tomorrow afternoon. The Chiefs will be without defensive end Mike Dana, strained pectoral, and wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, hamstring, on Sunday as both players continue to recover from injuries. In some good news, veteran wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who the Chiefs acquired from Tennessee earlier this week, is likely set to make his debut with Kansas City on Sunday according to head coach Andy Reid. "He did a good job this week," Reid said. "He's in the process of going through everything. Everything he does is, for the first time, but he has the experience with relative plays. He's picked it up. He's a smart guy, which really helps." As for the Raiders, wide receiver Jacoby Myers, ankle, will likely return to action on Sunday after a 2-week absence. Although he is officially listed as questionable, starting left guard Dylan Parham, meanwhile, will miss his second consecutive game. Kansas City was 4 for 5 in terms of scoring touchdowns in the red zone last week, which marked a significant step forward in that category when compared to the Chiefs' red zone productivity through their first 5 games. The Chiefs scored touchdowns in the red zone at just a 39% clip prior to Sunday's game, which, paired with some uncharacteristic turnovers, overshadowed what has actually been a fairly efficient and effective offense. Despite their relative offensive struggles at times this year, the Chiefs actually lead the NFL in successful play rate at 57.6%. So, when that productivity is coupled with the red zone efficiency the Chiefs compiled last week, the result is, unsurprisingly, a season-most 28 points. There's still room for the Chiefs' offense to grow, too, when considering Kansas City turned it over twice last week, which included an interception in 49ers territory. The Chiefs will aim to build on last week's offensive success against a Raiders defense that has struggled on the surface. It's the number 29 scoring defense in the NFL, but is probably better than the overall numbers may indicate. Las Vegas has been on the field defensively 81 times this season, which marks the 4th most defensive series of any team in the NFL. The Raiders' opponents this season have also benefited from excellent starting field position, as Las Vegas has taken the field defensively at its own 35-yard line on average, the worst for any defense in the league. Despite those circumstances, however, Las Vegas still owns the number 2 third down defense in the NFL at 28.9%, and edge rusher Max Crosby is a big reason why. Crosby, who has 23 pressures, 11 quarterback hits and 6.5 sacks on the season, is one of the league's top pass rushers, and if the Chiefs are to move the ball on Sunday, they'll have to contain his impact. The aforementioned starting field position of the Raiders' opponents this season is due in large part to Las Vegas' league-most 16 giveaways. The Raiders own the worst turnover differential in the NFL, at -13, and Las Vegas' 59 points allowed following giveaways lead the league. Kansas City forced a season-high 3 takeaways last week and will have an opportunity for another productive game on Sunday, but the Chiefs can't take Las Vegas lightly. The Raiders drew even in terms of turnover margin with Baltimore in Week 2, and the result was a Raiders victory, 5. The Chiefs will need to contain Raiders rookie tight end Brock Bowers. The top priority for the Chiefs defense on Sunday will need to be slowing down Bowers, who ranks second in the NFL with 47 catches for 477 yards. Only Jaguars wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. has more receiving yards among all rookies, with 513, and only Kyle Pitts, 484 in 2021, had more through 7 career games among all tight ends in league history. Bowers has been explosive, exemplified by his 5 grabs of 25 yards, and no matter who has been at quarterback for the Raiders, whether it be Gardner Minshew or Aidan O'Connell. His 60 targets are nearly twice as many as the second most targeted player on the team, wide receiver Jacoby Myers with 36, with a wide receiver room that's banged up. The Kansas City Chiefs are adding a reinforcement ahead of Sunday's game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Per an announcement from the team on its official X account, Kansas City has activated wideout Montrell Washington for Week 8 via standard elevation. Washington, 25, is currently in his second season with the Chiefs. The former Denver Broncos 5th-round NFL draft pick has hung around the organization for the last year plus after originally signing with their practice squad back in August of 2023. Washington appeared in 6 games a season ago, failing to record a reception on offense but factoring into the special teams game for Dave Tubb. In those 6 contests, Washington brought back a kickoff for 20 yards and returned 8 punts for 61 yards. He's a capable option who, like Nico Remigio, offers special teams versatility coming off the practice squad. Justin Ross, a fan favorite who originally signed as an undrafted free agent out of Clemson in 2022, was a candidate to be called up for Week 8. Cornell Powell was also in the mix after signing back to the practice squad this week. Kansas City is short-handed at the receiver spot entering the Raiders game. Not only is Sky Moore on the injured reserve list with a core muscle ailment, but Juju Smith-Schuster will miss Week 8 as he rehabs a hamstring injury that held him out of practice. The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to remain undefeated in the 2024 season when they take on the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 8, and there will be a new face on the Kansas City sideline. The team acquired veteran receiver DeAndre Hopkins in a trade this week after losing Rashee Rice for the season and Juju Smith-Schuster to a hamstring injury. Kansas City is heavily favored in this game, but I'm focusing on the anytime touchdown scorer market for some of the best plays in this one, including a prop from our NFL betting insider Ian McMillan. Since returning to the Chiefs, running back Kareem Hunt has taken over as the bell cow for Andy Reid. Over 3 games, Hunt has 14, 27 and 22 carries, amassing 249 rushing yards and 3 scores. Not only that, but Hunt has seen his snap count increase each week from 45% to 63% to 64%. He's taken over this backfield from Carson Steele, and he's a must-bet to find the end zone against a Las Vegas defense that has allowed 9 rushing touchdowns and 4.8 yards per carry this season. Kansas City added wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins in a trade with the Tennessee Titans this week, but his role and status for Week 8 is up in the air since he doesn't have much time to prep with the team. Both Amari Cooper and Davante Adams played after trades last week, but Hopkins is entering a new offense. Adams had some familiarity in a crucial division game, nearing the halfway point of the regular season and the final weekend of October football. The Las Vegas Raiders, 2-5, are struggling as they suit up Sunday to tackle the AFC West leading Kansas City Chiefs, 6-0. But Raiders rookie tight end Brock Bowers is providing high-level play and league-leading stats at the position. He's been a bright spot for us each and every week, said Raiders coach Antonio Pierce during this week's preparations for the Chiefs. Las Vegas Raiders All-Pro defensive end Max Crosby and Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes have formed a rivalry within the rivalry that is Raiders versus Chiefs. The friction became recognized in Week 5 of the 2022 season when the two had a heated exchange that capped off some chippy encounters throughout the contest. Crosby is known to do a little extra to get in the heads of opposing quarterbacks, and in this particular contest, he did anything he could to rattle the future Hall of Fame quarterback, while these two have grown synonymous with one another as on-field foes when their teams meet. Outside of the lines, there's a mutual respect. Both players are arguably the league's most competitive players at their respective positions, and when you have two players who want to succeed as badly as these two, things are inevitably going to get hostile. It's the spirit of the game. From one competitor to another, though, Mahomes appreciates Crosby's game. It's a high level of respect, Mahomes told reporters this week. I mean, everybody's good in this league. It's about who's going to do the extra thing, the extra step, the extra pass rush or the extra throw, whatever it is to make sure that their team has a better chance to win. and he's one of those guys. When we're on the field, we're going to compete because that's the type of guys that we are, but we have a ton of respect mutually between each other off of it. Mahomes has undoubtedly been on the better end of the rivalry, having a 10-2 record against the Raiders. And of course, Kansas City has owned the entire AFC West for nearly a decade. It seemed the Raiders might have been in store for a turn of the tides when they defeated the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium on Christmas Day last season, but since then, Kansas City has gone on to win a second straight Super Bowl title and hasn't lost a single game. The Raiders, meanwhile, missed out on the postseason yet again and currently sit at 2-5 on the 2024 season. Nonetheless, we could be in for another epic clash between these two teams on Sunday in what will be the next chapter of one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports. Andy Reid and Brett Veach made a blockbuster trade to help Patrick Mahomes in his quest to win a third consecutive Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs got DeAndre Hopkins and look like clear favorites after a 6-0 start. It was a much-needed move considering the Chiefs already lost two key pieces such as Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown. Although Xavier Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster have been very solid, that might not be enough for another playoff run, so, in one of the biggest stories in the NFL, Veach reportedly asked first to the Rams if Cooper Kupp was available. Then, when that price was too high to pay, Hopkins became the choice after a deal with the Titans. DeAndre Hopkins will make his debut for the Kansas City Chiefs against the Raiders. During a press conference before the game, Andy Reid was asked if he anticipated playing the wide receiver on Sunday. Probably yes. Yeah. He did a good job. He is in the process of going through everything. Everything he does is the first time, but he's got the experience with relative plays. He has picked it up. He is a smart guy, which really helps. He is diligent with all that stuff. He knows what he has to do. I haven't been worried about that at all. He has been very astute. Even though they're coming off back-to-back Super Bowl wins. The grind never stops for Kansas City Chiefs general manager Brett Veach. Injuries have tried to slow them down, but Andy Reid's team is still the lone remaining undefeated team in the NFL. Still, the Chiefs have had to add reinforcements, such as reuniting with Juju Smith-Schuster and, recently, trading for three-time All-Pro DeAndre Hopkins. Yet, there's a sense this team still isn't done making roster changes ahead of the November 5th NFL trade deadline. Just because the Kansas City Chiefs just landed one of the biggest names on the trade block doesn't mean more changes aren't on the way. Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown have all ended up on injured reserve, which could prompt yet another receiver to join Patrick Mahomes' aid. Starting Chiefs cornerback Jalen Watson also recently suffered a fractured ankle, which could cost him the rest of his season. So it only makes sense for the Chiefs to consider a worthy replacement, and it may not happen in free agency, yet, with so many teams destined to have interest in trading players on expiring contracts, it shouldn't be too difficult for the Chiefs to find a capable replacement. The Chiefs are the reigning back-to-back champions, and are off to a perfect 6-0 this season as they bid for an unprecedented Super Bowl three-peat. The 66-year-old was rewarded with a bumper 5-year contract extension worth around $100 million this offseason, making him the highest-paid coach in the NFL and across all North American sports leagues in 2024. Reid tops the list of the 10 highest-earning NFL coaches based on base pay without incentives. His $20 million salary puts him ahead of a rather surprising name in second spot. Denver Broncos handed Sean Payton the keys to the organization when they tempted him out of retirement in January 2023, an $18 million salary this year in average annual value, AAV, according to Sportico, probably helped smooth the deal. Payton is one of 4 Super Bowl-winning head coaches that make up the top 5, proving that victory in the big game often leads to big paydays. Pittsburgh Steelers ever. Present Mike Tomlin is tied for third on the list with $16 million per season. He is joined by new Los Angeles Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh, who might not have a Lombardi but signed a 5-year deal with the Bolts after winning a NCAA national title with Michigan last season. Los Angeles Rams offensive mastermind Sean McVay rounds out the top 5 with $15 million a year. Money is rife in the National Football League. Per Statista, the league generated a total of $20.24 billion in revenue across all 32 teams in 2023, the highest figure ever recorded, and an increase of almost $2 billion from the previous year. The average NFL franchise is worth around $5.6 billion in 2024, with the $10 billion value Dallas Cowboys sitting at the top of the mountain. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown has been released from the hospital on Sunday after suffering a collarbone injury known as a sternoclavicular joint dislocation on Saturday. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported. It is, in question, whether Brown will be available for the September 5 start to the Chiefs' regular season, per Schefter. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid compared the hurt to the collarbone injury suffered by Tyreek Hill when he played for the Chiefs in 2019, Jordan Foote reported for Kansas City Chiefs on Sports Illustrated. Hill, who suffered the injury in Week 1 of the 2019 season, missed 4 regular season games before returning just over 1 month later. "I think he'll miss some time," Reid said about Brown Saturday night. Per Foote. "We'll just see where it's at. We're kind of going through it right now. We'll know more later on here." Brown appeared to suffer the injury on his first play of the Chiefs' preseason opener Saturday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The receiver caught an 11-yard pass from Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes before he was tackled to the ground by cornerback Montaric Brown. Brown received attention on the sideline after the play before leaving the game. Per ESPN's Adam Teicher, the Chiefs signed Brown in free agency this offseason in the hopes of boosting the team's wide receiver depth around Mahomes. If Brown is forced to miss any time, the Chiefs may have to turn to 2024 first-round pick Xavier Worthy to step up in his absence. Brown, who is heading into his 6th NFL season, made 51 receptions for 574 yards and 4 touchdowns in 14 starts for the Arizona Cardinals last season. And, with the injury-ravaged team having acquired prolific receiver DeAndre Hopkins this past week, what will that mean to their slumping offense? Hopkins, 943 career receptions and 79 touchdowns, is 32 years old and has been dealing with a knee ailment this season. How productive will he be and how quickly he can contribute is in question. As it stands, the Chiefs are in commanding position to win the AFC West for the 9th consecutive year. They lead the second-place Broncos, 3-3, by 3 games. A win over the Raiders and they will have a 4-game lead on them in the loss column. Yet, Mahomes has few touchdown passes, 6, than he does interceptions, 8, tied for the league lead with the Packers' Jordan Love and Raiders' Gardner Minshew. There's been a lot of turnovers. Especially by me, Mahomes told reporters after Kansas City defeated the 49ers last Sunday. "I think it's just showing the versatility of our team. It's not just about me. It's not just about the stats and the light show and stuff like that. It's about playing team football, and I believe that if we continue to work, we'll get better offensively throwing the ball down the field." Mahomes, a 2-time NFL MVP and 3-time Super Bowl MVP, posted a career-worst 44.4 passer rating against the 49ers and Kansas City won the game anyway. It was the second game in a row in which Mahomes failed to throw a touchdown pass, the first time in his career he has gone back-to-back games with a TD pass. His 82.5 passer rating is the worst of his career. Reid made the announcement after Hopkins completed his second workout with the Chiefs. Kansas City sent a conditional 5th-round draft pick to the Titans on Thursday to acquire Hopkins because of a rash of injuries to its wide receiver group. Marquise Brown had shoulder surgery and Rashee Rice had knee surgery, and neither is likely to play this season. Juju Smith-Schuster also has been ruled out of the Raiders game with a hamstring injury. Reid also said that defensive end Mike Dana would miss the game while continuing to recover from a pectoral injury. The Chiefs are the last undefeated team in the NFL at 6-0 as they head to Las Vegas. The Raiders are also the last team to have beaten Kansas City, winning 20-14 on Christmas Day last year at Arrowhead Stadium.